Damn these Biloxi blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
I have not.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
No, I don't care.
Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, not so live number. Daggum 1 freaking 100. What's up, everybody? I'm excited today. I'm excited. If you are new to this program, you have now found yourself at Low Budget Live, Not So Live. Sometimes we do it live. More than not, we do it like this. Not So Live. And if you enjoy this or you don't, you're now a low-lifer. So congratulations. That's what the fans of this fine program call themselves, the low-lifers. And this is episode 100, the podcast for Monday, March the 1st, 2021. And I don't know. It's been, if you keep up on social media, it's been an absolutely insane week. I think the greatest week in bass fishing history as far as legendary stuff is concerned. And we're going to get into that. We are going to get into that. And I just so happen to be a part of it. And it was an awesome experience out in Texas with the 6 Cents crew. Giants getting caught. And I got to break the lake records smallmouth on O.H. Ivy Reservoir out there in Texas. Some Texans upset. Yeah, some not so upset. It's been crazy, but we're going to get into that with one of our guests today. But got just an absolute jam-packed. This is going to be a different LBL for number 100. You can't have a monumental episode like this and not mix it up a little bit. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to go back. We're going to throw it back in the past with our first guest that we're going to have here in a minute. We're going to throw it back with 2 of my best friends that started this whole adventure with me in 2017. So gonna throw it back here in a minute to those guys. And then I've got some folks from Startron coming on. The fine folks at Startron who actually have some very special guests with them by their side today. So it's going to be really cool. And we have the one and only Ben Milliken from Milliken's Fishing coming on. Ben Milliken's, as I like to call him, but Milliken Fishing on YouTube. But Ben really kicked off this legendary week in Texas. And if you haven't seen the stories or the videos, you will. And you will hear that coming up. But got to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, Startron, kicking ethanol right in the teeth, in your weed eater, in your lawnmower, in your outboard engine, in your car. Maybe it's in your truck. Maybe it's in your UTV. Maybe like today I've been out there running that leaf blower because it's 70 degrees in Tennessee today. When I left, it was like 9 degrees in Tennessee to go to Texas. So bipolar freaking weather. But I've been out there running that leaf blower. Startron will keep that ethanol from gumming up the works. Startron kicking ethanol in the teeth. Starbright Cleaning Solutions getting everything shined up, looking so good. And those are cool folks, and you're going to get to experience that today, and I can't wait. Got to say a huge thank you to the folks at Sims Fishing Products. Got to wear a lot of that gear out there in Texas and really put it through its paces. The Pro Dry was awesome out there, and it just got to wear a lot of it out there. They have a new suit dropping today, and I recorded this the day before it drops. So on March 1st, they have a new suit drop-in that you need to check out. My boy Gussie, who won the Bassmaster Elite Series, was wearing it all, and I can't even get the name of the thing, okay? So Gussie's on that hitter. He is on that dadgum secret Sims bag, and he beat those boys' tail end down there at on the Tennessee River in Knoxville. Go Big Orange. But you need to check out the new Sims suit that's coming out, and I'm here to remind all you low-lifers, you get one life. Fish it well. Pro Guide batteries. I ran those suckers to death out there in freaking crazy winds out there in Texas, fishing Choke Canyon, fishing OHIV, and I could not be more impressed with those things. So far, just blown away by the AGMs, the Pro Guides that I'm running, the 31 series. And if you would like to get yourself some of those, you can use code LBL10 to get yourself some power. And they've got some big things coming too, okay? Some big news coming very soon from the folks at Pro Guide. But those batteries were absolutely spectacular all week. I was actually, had one day that I didn't get to charge my batteries fully because of a kind of a funky power thing. And it happened at this little motel we were staying at. And I'm running that power pole charge this year too. And I will say that I don't know if it's a combination or what, but Darian and I fished in a 30-mile-an-hour wind right into it all day long, and we didn't get to fully charge before the next day. We had zero issues. So the Pro Guides, absolutely loving those things. In the Express Bass Boat, which Express Boats, the official boat sponsor of Low Budget Live and the Traveling Circus, the X21 Pro, and I finally got to put it through its paces in all kind of situations. And I can tell each and every one of you, without a doubt, I could look you right in the eye. It's my favorite bass boat I've ever been in, bar none. Darian will tell you that. It was like the hit of the trip with all the guys from Six Sense that were around. Sea Deck is awesome. Put it through its paces. Fished on it barefooted up into like 82-degree weather. Awesome. Absolutely love the storage of the boat. Love the ride of the boat. The boat is fast, 70-mile-an-hour boat. Layout is crazy. But we fished, my man Justin Royal Fishing joined Darian and I one day. Jay Royal, go look Justin Royal Fishing up. Justin's a good dude. We stood side by side, spot locked down, anchor locked down on this place, casting on OHIV, and you got room. Like it's crazy. And to think about just how big this boat is, but how stable. You know, I've had people come, oh, those aluminum boats, they're not stable. Dude, this thing is absolutely insane how stable it is. Like Darian moving around, setting the hook. We fished out of this thing freaking balls to the wall for 4 days, and I could not be more impressed with the boat. Can't wait to get in tune with it a little bit more and how it runs, in certain situations. But encountered some really rough water at OHIV in the wind one day. Freaking awesome, man. The videos are coming on that. So want to thank the folks at Express. That thing is a machine, and I'm proud to finally get to tell y'all fishing stories out of it. Moving on. I want to say congratulations to Dustin Connell publicly. I reached out to Dustin, hoping to get him on here one of these days. We will see how that goes. But for winning the Redcrest, and you have to say, this got me thinking, would he, Dustin's a great fisherman, but would he, what would the outcome have been if they'd gone to Texas? Would you have seen Brian Thrift dominate, who always dominates at Eufaula? He dominates everywhere, let's be honest. But he's got Eufaula's number now until that last day, and his fish moved from him. But same, Ott Defoe, Jacob Wheeler, a lot of the same. So Alton Jones Jr. caught him really well out there. He caught him last year. Would we have seen, what would the storyline have looked like for that $300,000 had they gone to Texas? Had they stayed in Texas? I don't know. It's interesting to see, but Dustin, it was cool seeing the raw emotion that he just let out, when he won that. And you have to think, it's crazy, for a kid like Dustin, growing up, immersed in bass fishing. This dude is absolutely just ate up with it, runs through his veins. But you have to think, as he lets that emotion out, did he ever see himself fishing that tour? Because it wasn't around then, right? It wasn't around when he's growing up. So all their dreams are based on the Bassmaster Classic or Forcewood Cup or what have you. So it got me thinking. I thought that was interesting. That's something I would like to ask him. I mean, it's interesting. Y'all comment below. Did you watch Redcrest? What'd you think? I did not. I did not get to, I saw the very end because I was actually home where I could. Terrible service all week in Texas. So I actually did not get to watch much of it at all. And but comment, let me know what you thought about it. Good event, bad event. Looks like the fishing was tough. We've got to go there for MPFL in like a week. In like a week, I'm going to be down there commentating. So y'all be sure to follow along with the National Professional Fishing League because we kick off next week. I leave a week from tomorrow. Headed down there to Eufaula, Alabama. Hopefully the weather gets warmer. Hopefully the fish make a big move and those guys sack them up a little bit better than the Redcrest guys because they were coming off the heels of that big cold front and all that. So a lot of muddy water. But it's going to be interesting to see. Actually going to have a guest on next week that competed in the Redcrest. Get a breakdown from him as well leading into our Eufaula event for the National Professional Fishing League. I want to say huge congratulations to Gussie, the nicest guy you will ever meet and one of the most deserving, hardest working fishermen in the game. And I'm glad he's finally getting him a blue trophy, man. It was so awesome to see. I got to watch a little bit of that on Fox FS1 this weekend while I was being lazy and recouping from being an idiot and driving all the way home all night like I was 18 years old, and I'm not able to do that anymore, I found out. So I had to get back for some things from Texas, and I've been spent, man. I've been absolutely spent. But got to spend some time. We saw Hackney, another top 10. The Indian outlaw himself, Jason Christie, slid in the top 10 as well. Awesome event. Stingy event. Not a great fish catching event, but a good event nonetheless. Tennessee River. The next one at Pickwick's going to be a slugfest. Alabama Bass Trail was down there this weekend, and there were 20 bags over 20, 27 to win. 27 was second, and it's going to be, write that one down. As long as the weather doesn't get crazy, that one's going to be a slugfest for the Elite Series, the next one. Of course, Greg Hackney coming out there, AOY leader. And we had an express. You had 3 aluminum boats in the damn top 10. How cool is that? Yeah, Gussie who runs the line. Of course, Christian the express. And Coxwatch coming in hot. Coxwatch. John Cox made another check. Top 10. John Cox. So he's moving on to Smith Lake for the FLW Pro Circuit, Big 5 Pro Circuit, MLFLW Pro Circuit. And we'll see. Can he keep this? He's 2 for 2. Getting that money. Got even a little bit more money this week with that top 10, top 5 finish up there in Knox, Vegas, Tennessee. So it was real cool. I didn't get to go up. I told y'all I would. I will be. If you're around the Pickwick Lake area, you plan on being at the Pickwick Elite Series, I can promise you my fat butt will be there. I told some of you that messaged me that I would be in Knoxville, but I was not. I lied to you, and I apologize very much for that. So congrats to those guys. We'll get Gussie on very soon. I love Gussie. He actually did LBL live with us at the Classic this past year. One of my favorite people from the FLW days when I was fishing, and think the world of him. So congrats to both Dustin Connell and Mr. Jeff Gustafson. Gussie, the Canadian that probably said, sorry I won. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I lapped the field. Sorry, Steve Kennedy. Sorry. Big Gussie fan. All right, guys. So our first guests are, they are the reason that I ever started this crazy thing. They're the first people that I ever ran this idea of a podcast by. And it was really important for me today to have them on. They're 2 of my very best friends in the world that I care about like family, and they put up with a lot of my BS, and they support a lot of my BS, and they're just great partners in crime. But ladies and gentlemen, joining us via Zoom, my dudes, Darian Craig, Darian is Fishing, and Big C, Corey Williams. All right, as promised, I got a throwback for episode 100, and 2 dudes that don't get enough credit. One of them that catches a lot of hell online from me, and the other that catches a lot of hell just period from me. Big C, Corey Williams, and of course, Darian is Fishing, who were there when this whole thing started. And I don't think people realize where all this came from because it's just kind of reached popularity in the last, I don't know, 2 years. And would y'all have ever thought that, we would have made it to 100 not so live episodes, but that any of the things from Low Budget Live at the Classic, which y'all were right there for and helped me with so much, or any of this crap would be possible?
It's came a long way for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can tell this without getting fired. So we all work for TH Marine collectively, and this idea happened at TH. Like we're like, you know what we should do? We should do a podcast, but do it on Instagram. And that's where Low Budget Live came from. The name was, I had music equipment, and I tell them all my stupid ideas, and they were all looking at me like I was an idiot. But I'm like, man, if we can make a phone work, like if we could just broadcast through a phone, it wouldn't be that expensive. And we took music equipment I already had. I found a little input, and we might have tested it at TH Marine a couple times. Can I tell that?
It's a bit of a struggle. It's a bit of a struggle starting out. Yeah,
a bit of a struggle, to say the least. But we got it going, and we would only broadcast this through Instagram. Talk to people in the comments. Try to keep on task with subjects and topics, but that never happened, and that was something that almost made Darian quit the band several times because of my ADD ass. But that's what we did. We did it all on Instagram, and we had, I don't know how many people on, like all kinds of guests, and there's no record of it forever. And it was probably a year before I ever started recording. I bought me a MacBook, so it was medium budget live. But these two dudes, this is so important to me to have these two guys on here today to just talk about the fishing industry, talk about whatever. But these are my guys, two of my best friends in life, and none of this would have happened at all had they not listened to my crazy ass ideas and pushed me to say, hell man, yeah, I think we can make that work.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like traveling, talking about it last week was what's transpired from a small, I'm going to say dumb idea. Probably wasn't that dumb. But
no, it was dumb.
You didn't have all the pieces.
I thought it was a waste of time.
Yeah. And like to see what it is now, like just imagine if you didn't try it.
I know, man. And now you got your YouTube stuff going. Corey's the best boat part salesman in all the freaking land. Doesn't watch any of our videos, though. Let's address that. Let's address that right now. So
there's nothing to address. It's just a matter of the fact. I don't care, and I'll never watch it. Y'all burned me too many times on clickbait. I wasted so many, minutes, but it only happened a couple times where I was done. I just
send
me the highlight.
Who is worse at clickbait, me or Darian?
Oh, Darian by 100 miles. I mean, it's
D
not even,
wins.
it's not even on the same. Terry's like, caught the biggest fish on the line on that day in that 1 hour. I've never caught a 5-pounder at 1 o'clock. Like, it's the biggest fish ever.
Hey, listen. There's black and white, and then there's gray areas in life. And that gray area, sometimes you got to live in it. And I think Darian does that very well. He doesn't say it. You got to read the fine print. It's like those damn pharmaceutical commercials. You got to read the asterisk and then go down to the bottom to get the.
Hey, more power to you, man. Whatever gets the click. You're not getting my click, though. It's over. I should have sailed.
Our own best friend won't watch our videos. I don't know what that says for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just great. Like, I don't know, thinking deep about it. It's like people have so many ideas. This is kind of a bit much bigger topic conversation, but like this specifically on this episode being the 100th episode is what if you didn't try it? How many people have an idea that they don't try, or that they ask their buddy and their buddy shoots it down, or they ask their family and their family shoots it down? Like we could have shot it down, and it had me and Corey said no. I would bet that you probably wouldn't have, maybe you would have tried it, but I don't think without mine and Corey's support and us like, hell, let's at least just try it. But it's cool to think about like what all has happened because of that one day. That's just cool to think about to me.
Well, it's insane. You and I and Corey last year at the Classic, it was like the first time that we, I think, realized what's happening, and that, man, people do care about this dumb stuff that comes out of my mouth, and they care about these dumb videos other than Corey. Of course, we'll leave Corey out of that. Corey doesn't care at all about anything that we have going on, except personally. Corey cares on a personal level. He doesn't care on an internet level.
Not at all.
You're never
Not
getting a
even a
thumbs
little.
up or a comment from Big C, but he cares.
Unless like Darian gets a big TikTok, a bunch of likes. That one video was cool. I thought that was really cool. He got on Barstool Outdoors. That was cool. Luke has done a few cool things. I mean,
Just a few.
he caught like a lake record or pond record or that was real. That was
Wasn't
real.
a pond record.
That was real.
I had a guy earlier today on the phone go, was that some kind of like Bienville plantation, like private place you guys were at? I was like, no, sir. That was actually a public reservoir, a 20,000 acre, a big one, a big freaking lake where all that craziness went down. And we'll get there. We're going to get there. I don't know, man. I think it's funny. I think back to you guys, because I don't think, man, anybody realizes the amount of equipment. We used to have a computer monitor, all these cables, all this crap.
It was a nightmare.
And I could not have done it. Wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done. Man, I loaded music equipment in and out for years. Like what we did, I would have never done it. Like I remember, Darren, you called. It was the Blue Marlin in Columbia, South Carolina, and you're like, "Hey, we have a podcast here," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. We didn't know anything. We had
crime stuff.
Oh yeah, and we had Brad Knight, and we're like, "Listen, we'll plug it. We're huge on social media." And we didn't have jack shit of a presence or anything. We're like, "Listen to us, trust us. Place is going to be packed," and it was, but it was because the Cup was there. It had nothing to do with us. We did have a nice little crowd by the time it was over. We had Brad Knight, had Jason Johnson, my buddy JJ used to fish the tour. He's
Who
retired.
spilled beans that
The
night.
juice, yeah, the Lake Lanier juice.
Is that video recorded anywhere?
No, it's
Or is that-
nowhere.
No,
Okay,
dude, he gave away the secrets that night.
He really did.
He gave away all of them.
It got to the point that we were like all looking at each other like maybe he should stop. Like for his own, but JJ doesn't even fish that much anymore, man. I saw he sold his boat and like he's like Harley dude, like riding around on a Harley. So Jason Johnson, shout out JJ. But
he's going to be a myth from now on.
He was that dude is a spotted bass freaking guru, man. Good dude, co-angler of the century too when he fished But yeah, we did 2 nights at the Blue Marlin, and then on the third day, we went to the arena where they had the Forcewood Cup weigh-in, and somebody from FLW decided it was a good idea to give us media passes and let us into the media room, which pissed off a lot of real media that day.
I feel like can we say who that was now? I feel like we can't.
I mean, it's so much alive. I piss people off every day. I really don't care.
And FLW is not a thing anymore. So
NFLW, rest in peace, FLW. Pour some Startron out. Who said that? Who was mad at us?
I thought it was Patterson that got us in. Oh, who got mad?
No, Patterson got us in. Shout out Sims.
I
specifically remember Mark Jeffries being mad.
Actually pissed off.
Yes.
They were actually pissed off.
I specifically remember Mark Jeffries being mad and Dan O'Sullivan being like, "You guys don't need to steal the people before we interview them," because everybody was walking through the media people and right to us. Yeah. And I remember my infamous line was, they're like, "You're not media," and I said, "You better hope I decide not to be media."
But it was 2 different things too. Like there was the media room where they were getting hardcore interviewed, and there was the room we were in where
which was
people were
shenanigans.
Were hanging out with people that we're just hanging out. There was no hardcore. We weren't even talking. We were talking about the tournament, but we were just hanging out.
We had Atkins the day before he won the freaking cup, though, right after coming off day 3 weigh-in stage, right to us. Like these guys are all like notebooks ready to talk about his topwater bite, and he walks in there and is like, "What's up?" A hat cocked sideways, ready to talk to us. And
when that hat slumped, you know it's going down. While we're on this topic, can we talk about Atkins calling you that day?
Yeah, we can. That's a story I don't think I've ever told. Well, maybe we told it on here, but
that's one of my favorite. That was one of the coolest things. Remember how hot that expo was?
I think Atkins and I told this on the podcast when he was here.
Yeah, the air conditioner.
The air conditioner wasn't working.
Yeah.
The whole arena had no air conditioner.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
It's the only time we were allowed to wear shorts at a show in our lots. We're in shorts.
It was like maybe 3:30 or something, and we're all sitting there talking. It's hot. We're ready to go watch the weigh-ins. We think Atkins is going to win, or maybe at that point we knew he was going to win. And we're all sitting there talking, and Luke's phone rings. He looks at it. It says Justin Atkins, which is like, it looks like okay,
something wrong. Maybe something's wrong.
Yeah.
And Justin and I made a bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made a bet that he was gonna have to sing a song if he won. Like he was on Snapchat the week, like 2 weeks before, and he was listening to Sawyer Brown.
Yes.
And I said, well, when you win the Forest Wood Cup, I want you to sing that damn song on stage. And he's like, well, I'm gonna have to sing because, dude, he was dialed. Okay, like coming out of pre-fish, and I was like, I told you, Darian, I'm like, dude, they better watch Atkins over there like that. I think that boy's got it figured out. And then obviously he did, but he calls to say, hey, man, you're not really going to make me sing. Like, legit. It wasn't like one of those cocky, like, yeah, I got to sing. He was like, hey, man, you're not really going to like make me go through with that, are you? Like he thought I was going to be standing down front like, come on, let's go.
National anthem. Let's go, baby.
Go. Sing it. But yeah, it was one of my favorite. That'll always be one of my favorite memories of that whole thing. Cause I'm thinking, all the things going through that dude's mind at the time, and he thought to call us.
Can we call off that bet real quick, like for real?
Yeah, I've told him countless times, and then we did an LBL. This one is on YouTube. It's a long and crazy one, but we did it at the Pie Factory in Florence, Alabama. We did it on Instagram Live, but we recorded it on another phone. We had a real rig, to say the least, and he brought the cup to a pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted him to drink beer out of the cup, but the damn top doesn't come off of it, so we didn't get to. So we just had to
Were
drink
you there
beer.
that night, dude?
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
UNA fishing team
I
was
was
there.
say Houston, all of them were
Houston,
there.
Calvert,
Yeah, they were all there.
Lions, yeah.
Shout out to them. They're all there. But
Shout out to the Lions.
shout out to the Lions, roar Lions, as they say. But it's just awesome, man. I don't know. I think it was real important for me to have y'all on today and just thank y'all, man, because I don't know. This is the fact that every week I did 52 of these last year is mind blowing to me. The fact that my wife hasn't killed me over that yet. The fact that I haven't been assassinated really by certain, people. I haven't lost my job over this. There's been a couple close calls, let's be honest. But I think it's awesome, man. And we're gonna keep it going. And Corey, maybe for the low lifers out there listening that don't know Big C, tell them what the C stands for in your name now.
It's for Corey. What are you talking about?
Oh, I thought it was something else. Something killer.
Kill with a C. That's right.
That's right. If any of you ladies out there watching and you're single, slide into the DMs of Big C at Corey Williams on the IG. He's going pro this year. Talk about that,
Big
Corey.
time. No, you call it that.
Let's go. Get it out to the people.
I'll just be a team. I'm doing a redfish team trail, doing the Emerald Coast Redfish Series out of Panama City. We'll do go up the Emerald Coast of Florida, fishing a couple tournaments. We got 5 this year. We'll do the Power Pole Pro Series championship or a qualifier to try to get in the championship in May. But yeah, I'm going to go fish for reds. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And you love saltwater, dude, way more than bass fishing, right? I mean, that's your deal.
Well, I mean, I love bass fishing. But for me, every time I get down there to the coast, there's something about it. I related a lot to catching smallies up north. There's something about that to me is just so prime and like it's just the pinnacle of fishing to me. And I don't know, there's a different vibe to it too. Some of those bass guys get a little, you get on your spots and stuff like that. It always seems like there's some drama going on or whatever. So
there's drama.
I don't know. It's different, and they have drama too. But it'll be exciting. I'm excited about it.
If there's money on the line with a rod and reel, there's drama. Okay. I don't care. A bunch of damn Cajuns and Floridians and Texans out there fighting over redfish holes. I'll promise you they probably get into it too. But you're fishing with Mark Cowart.
Yep, Mark Cowart out of Panama City.
Our little buddy Michael Cowart's dad.
Yep.
Do you feel bad that you broke up a father and son team so you could fish redfish tournaments?
Yeah. I had to tell them, like, y'all have had your time. It's time for me to get on the action. So, get out of the way. Big C's coming.
Big C's coming. He's bringing.
Yeah, he is. Stone cold.
He's bringing it.
How many ladies are in Florida, dude?
Let me ask you this on the ladies real quick, Big C, while we got you here, because I know your time's limited today, your interview time. But age range on these ladies, like if you got a tender age range, where are we going? We drifting to MILF land? We drift into college girls.
I mean,
Where are we at right now in life, Big C? Let's update the list. It's been a while since you've been on LBL. Let's update everybody.
I would say, what was the thing? Divide by 2, add 7. So, yeah, I mean, 23. I would go 23 and up. I'm not going to put a cap on it, though. I mean, we're not going to discriminate.
No cap.
Cap.
You know.
What's the oldest you would go?
I don't know. I mean,
Like 62.
no. I mean, God, though. No, dude, that's not even a reasonable question.
Okay.
But if
Nobody
it's
with
a
reasonable
62 with a private lake and like a lot of inheritance money or a trust fund.
Maybe.
We would have to talk about that.
I would listen. I would listen to that. I don't know. I mean, I think realistically, your 40 would be probably. But like I said, I don't want to put a cap on. I'm not putting a cap on it.
You don't really.
Just
Most
23 and up.
artists, you can't put them in a box, right? Like they need to be free to be creative and go wherever they need to go. And you're kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like it, Big C. I like it.
Yep.
Are you going to do another fat ass challenge this year to get ready for the upcoming redfish season?
I don't know. I mean, that's TBD on that. We'll see.
Or for the upcoming MILF hunting season. It's getting warm. It's almost that time.
You're going to be at PCB.
Darian's
You just told us
assuming my
that.
range now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like older ladies. Okay, but what's it to you, Darian? What are you worried about?
I'm not.
You said your mom had a boyfriend. What are you worried about right now?
Oh, some of those jokes don't play well on LBL. I have a feeling. Get banned for some of the Darian's mom's jokes.
Darian mom jokes, yeah.
Well, boys, I want to say thank you again, Big C. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I mean, I don't even know what you got going on today, but I appreciate you like short notice.
He looks like he's been chopping wood or something.
I've been.
It does look very organic.
Now, I'm remodeling right now, and I've been in the garage all weekend. Yeah, I know. I mean, we're on the up and up, dude.
I'm with that.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Now we're here.
Right?
Yeah, I mounted a TV in the garage, and I'm fixing the drywall. And one half is done, so maybe I'll get the rest done tonight. Watch a little NASCAR. So they're in Homestead today. They're going 400 miles. So
I've got a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver that's going to be on the 100th episode today with the Startron boys. They're down in the Florida Keys. Josh Williams, he raced last night, finished 20th down at Homestead in the Xfinity race. But yeah, him, Blair Wiggins. They're going to be on later in the show to help me bring in the 100th episode. So, but up next. And I think D-Money may hang in there for this one. This has been the biggest week in bass fishing. I talked about it before these guys came on. I was a part of it. I feel like there's no doubt this will go down in history as the craziest week in bass fishing. Take tournaments out of it, but like the biggest week in bass fishing. And the guy that started it, that kicked off the biggest week in bass fishing, will be joining us here in just a couple seconds, and that is Mr. Ben Milliken. Milliken is Fishing, who him and his buddy Zark dropped a 16-pound, 5-ounce bass on the scales, and then like a lot of other insanity, and we will get into that with him. Of course, Darian and I were out there with 6 cents, and we're going to talk that whole trip. I know y'all want to hear it, so here we go. Ben Milliken, thank you, Big C, and thank you for joining. All right, so we got rid of Big C, and now we got Big Ben, baby. Ben Milliken. And, dude, thank you for coming on the 100. You've got a really good resume. I feel like this is something that's like just another feather in your cap, bro.
Yeah, when you asked me to come on here, this was at the tip top of anything I've done with fishing, and so I couldn't say
this is it. Like, it's like 16-pounders, 12-pounders, lake record smallmouth, like all the insanity that's been your last week. You're like, yeah, get me on a Zoom call with this.
To be completely honest, I would have come on whether it was your 12th show or second show or 6,000th show. I just appreciate you having me on.
Well, we had a lot of fun last year, but I was like, with everything going on, I told Darian, I'm like, dude, this week's got to be all about some 6 cents and some Ben Milliken, first of all.
It was a wild week.
Dude, so Darian had a question. Hit him with your question, Darian, right? Before we get into the 6 cents and the Texas stuff, because I think this is something that and I don't think you and I got into this on the first LBL, and I think this is something that people genuinely want to know about, not only you, but a lot of guys that do YouTube. So throw it at him, D-Money.
Well, me and Ben have talked several times. I fished with him one time and just hanging out, but I've never had this conversation with Ben. And the guys that I know that do YouTube stuff, this isn't something that you hear a lot of. So my question was, as a bigger YouTuber, one of the biggest YouTubers, Ben, what, like, your day to day. So I think what I'm getting to is, there's a lot of people who see these YouTube videos and they think, oh, you set up a camera, you let it roll, and then there's just a video on the internet that gets a lot of views. Me personally, when I wake up, I have a couple other things that are more priority. I know Luke has a couple things that are more priority, but you being a full-time YouTuber, one of the best at it. For those of you who haven't watched Ben's channel, or if you have, there's a lot of love, a lot of energy. And honestly, it's inspiring hearing just the inflection in your voice. You can tell that you aren't faking it. But and being around you,
it's so genuine. Yeah,
super genuine. And I watched the video today, and it's just like, you've got something that's different. Obviously, that's why your
that video pissed me off. I'm just going to be honest. Like, it pissed me off that I was in Tennessee.
It pissed me off that I'm back in Nebraska now.
I bet.
So my question is, what? Obviously, you're full time at YouTube. You have other investments or other things that you're doing, but I guess YouTube's your full time. So if it's not too much to ask, what does your day look like when you wake up? It's YouTube. Outside of being a husband.
Are you trying to say, like, are you sleeping to like 11? And then are you checking comments? Like, what's
yeah. I sleep until about noon, hit the lake whenever, catch 10, 20 bass in about an hour. Cole edits the video, and I go out and party all night. It's that simple.
Okay. Easy.
Living the dream.
No, man, it's a grind. It doesn't get any easier than when I started. I am lucky enough to have Cole, the camera guy. He kills the edits. He's taken everything to a different level for me. But yeah, I mean, every day is different with me, so I can't really give you a set what I do from day to day. But man, I've been getting up really early the last like 4, 5, 6 months. And I've kind of been doing it on and off, but my wife's got me kind of really heavy into fitness. So that's been helping a lot, waking up super early, 4:30, 5:30, 6 o'clock some days, and getting a workout in the morning, running a little bit helps my brain substantially. But, a lot of these days we're planning these trips, and I'm not from a part of the country with good fishing at all. And then on top of that, I also recognize that in order to be successful at this YouTube thing, I have to post a lot of different types of content, especially because I'm not in a bass fishing mecca. If I feel like if you're not in a great bass fishing area, then you have to do a lot of other stuff, because bass fishing is still king when it comes down to it. Obviously, the bank fishing, the spillway fishing, that stuff's very relatable to a large audience, but bass fishing is my specialty. It's what I grew up doing. It's why I got into it. So basically what I'm trying to say is, a lot of these days we're waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning and making like a 4-hour day trip to go film. We generally are trying to get a couple videos in a day. So we try to line things up so we can get a couple different types of content. And that's just when I'm at home, so those are really long days, traveling 6 to 8 hours a lot of times in a day, plus the fishing on top. And that's if the fish do bite. And then we're trying to formulate everything together so it makes sense. It's a story, so it works as a video. You have to get a thumbnail and a title together. You try not to get too much to the point where you have to go into a video thinking about what is this title, what's this thumbnail going to be. You try not to do that, but a lot of times some of the videos have to be scripted that way a little bit ahead of time. So I mean, there's so much strategy and so much time that goes into it. And that's all on the front end. And then you got to deal with the fish trying to bite. And then you got to get home and you have to have the video kind of edit all come together. You have to get the timing down of when Cole gets done with that edit or when I'm finishing that edit and what we're doing the rest of the week. And all that kind of goes into putting 4 to 6 of these YouTube videos out a week, posting every day on Facebook, Instagram, and then trying to somehow be a good husband and father on top of that. So it's a lot to balance.
Dude, that's what I was going to say. It's such a balancing act, and you do it well. You've got kids, you've got a lovely wife. My wife and I actually had this conversation last night about just an open, like, hey, like, is everything cool? Because I got a lot going on, right? Because it is. It's one of those things, like, you don't want. Mike went out for a second, boys. You don't want it to get away from you at some point because, like Darian said, we're not full time in this, but I'm full time in this, right? Like in that, like I put a ton of time into the podcast, but I'm not. That's not my sole income. I'm working for TH Marine. I've got the NPFL gig. A lot of things pull me a lot of different directions. Darian is dang sure no different. He's got irons and a lot of fires. So, would you say? Because a lot of people are like, "Man, this is the dream, man. I wish I could do that." Could you say that it would be easier to just make a living doing something else where you just clock in and out?
100%. I've done it, man. I did it for 3 or 4 years. It's substantially easier, but that's not really what I wanted. I grew up playing 4 sports in high school and trying to do everything else on top of that. I've always been super busy and I love being really busy. And I'm crazy passionate about fishing, all types of fishing. And so I wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
One thing that I thought was cool, Ben, last year when we fished together, something that I took away from that trip, just talking and cutting up. And I asked you about a video that I had watched recently. It was back then, so I don't know how long ago that was. But you were fishing this lake, and you knew a lot about the lake. And as a viewer, as a fan of that video, I just thought it was down the road from you. So I asked something along the lines of that lake that's close by you. It looks awesome. Y'all catch them all the time. They're standing trees. And you're like, dude, that lake's I think you said 5 hours away.
Yeah.
But there was a bunch of videos from that. And I was like, and he's like, dude, we wake up and go.
Yeah.
And so then that leads into another thing of, like, you're saying 4 to 6 videos a week. It's hard to fish for 4 to 6 days a week.
Totally.
Mentally on your body, you get home and it's easy to try to lay down on the couch and take a nap.
Weather, fish not bite.
The wind beats me up personally. The wind is makes me so tired. And to have that drive to continue going, it's super cool. So I think that's something that whether it's you or whatever YouTuber that, Luke, your audience watches, and all of our videos, other people as well, is like, give your guy an extra thumbs up for just the grind that they deal with.
Well, and think about it from this standpoint. Yes, Ben makes a living doing this. He makes it through YouTube. He's got great sponsors like 6 Cents and other things going on. But at the end of the day, think about this. It is free content for the viewer. Think about that now. Like in years past, like if it cost $500,000 to make a television show for the Outdoor Channel or whatever, you still have to pay your cable provider, right? To have that. YouTube is a free platform. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, it might cost you some damn 6 cents crankbaits if you're watching Ben smack a bunch of, or Divine Swimmers this week. It's probably going to hurt your bank account. It's going to hurt your bank account a little bit this week if you watch any of these videos. But I want to point out, like, I've only been around you a couple times on fishing trips. I've enjoyed every one of them. I like picking your brain about just fishing in general. But watching you, we're down there at Choke Canyon. You had the most epic 2 days of fishing on OH Ivy. And we were you were going there to keep it quiet. Like you and I were kind of texting back and forth. You were going there and then you messed up and Zark caught a 16-pounder.
Yeah. Whoops.
And so, whoopsies. And so the secret was out, but you came to Choke and you and I had this conversation like, why in the hell aren't we going there? Like I'm texting you and you're like, well, I think Choke's going to be better. We got down there and the fishing sucked. It was brutal. You left there like 2 a.m, drive back up there. You're sending us pictures of 35-pound bags while we're struggling. Darian and I caught like 3 that day on Choke, being stubborn. But that's what I want to point out is I don't think people realize how hard you work. Like Darian's saying, the 5 hours, like Darian and I drove 16 and a half. You drove 16 to Texas for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just down to Choke it was. Yep.
Yeah, down to Choke. 16.
Well,
yeah.
I lost you, Darian. I can't hear you. No audio.
This is awkward.
This is awkward. There you go.
You're good.
You're good.
Okay.
You're back now.
One thing I thought about, I thought was funny, and me and Luke talked about this on the drive. It was 16 hours for us, and we just looked from Nebraska to Choke Canyon. It was exactly 16 hours. Yeah. Me and Luke were complaining about it the whole time. Ben in the group never complained about the 16-hour drive. He might have been to the guys, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, for us, we were like, we were encountering, this crazy weather storm. That was for Dan. I was like, what in the hell are we going to get into because it sucked in Tennessee. Alabama wasn't that bad, but Louisiana, Texas, like states we had to go through. I'm like, dude, what are we going to, there's going to be a gas shortage. Like, what are we going to run into? You guys just freaking sent it.
Yeah, it was crazy. When we got home, I was sitting back and thinking, we only fished for 5 days during that stretch. And I was like, Cole, we ended up with 8 videos from that trip. I was like, how the hell do we do that? Because usually, you got we had 7 days and we traveled for 2 of them. But then I realized we drove through the night, 3 of those nights between places. And we do some stupid stuff sometimes. But man, I think there was just before we get into the talking about it, I think it's a lot of karma. And I'm not a big spiritual person, but the fishing gods, I mean, I think they reward you, because we were lucky that we even got to go fishing, and we drove through some of the shit that we went through to get to the lakes that we fished. And then we were rewarded, and it always seems to work out like that.
Dude, just enough of anything else. Everybody wants to hear, and you've got a new video coming out. This is for Monday, March the 1st here on LBL, but tomorrow, Darian and I got Show Up, Shut Up coming too. I want to throw that out there, but it's not going to compare to the biggest, look at me in the camera, people. Look at me. The biggest 5-fish limit that's ever been captured on film, you will get to see tomorrow. Let's hear about it, Mr. Milliken.
Oh man, it's going to be exciting. I put the video out this morning on Sunday of the first half of that day.
Okay.
I think we had 30 some pound limit in the first half of the day. And then we just started over at a different spot. I think, it was bizarre, but we were just, I don't even know where to start. We were throwing A-rigs on 20 and single swimmer too. I caught a ton of fish on the single swim bait.
On a spinning rod. First video, because everything was freezing up. Yeah.
Yep. Kind of had to, because everything was so cold. And the water was down around 40 right when we got there that first day and a half. And I think it was so cold. It was at the end of the cold front. It had been cold for 5 or 6 days, luckily. And so I think those fish were ready to eat. You know, the people think that a cold front is just like automatic. If water temperature's this, then bass won't eat. Mm-hmm. But that's not necessarily the case. Even with Florida strain bass, if the water is cold for 1 or 2 or 3 days during a front, yeah, that's a problem. But when it's cold for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row, a bass can't go, even in super cold water, a bass can't go a week without at least having an opportunity to eat something, especially in clean water. And that's what we were blessed with at that lake. The water was super clean. And no matter where you're at in the country, the cleaner the water is, the more stable it will be during the super cold water. And so we were at the end of that cold front, the historic cold front event. And we got there, had the awesome first day. Second day, had a great first morning. And then we're just like, all right, I don't even know how we can top this. Let's go explore. And we came around a spot that was it was out on the mouth of a giant spawning creek. And these are the types of areas we fished the whole time when we were down there. You guys know this, but the viewers don't know this, obviously. But we kind of found that it was a perfect collision as well with the cold front, where the fish had, I'm sure some of them had moved a little bit with the water. It was probably in the upper 50s. Now it was down around low 40s, where we were fishing the most prominent form of structure at the mouth of some of these giant spawning creeks, as close to the main river as possible. So we'd find the biggest island drop off, the biggest point at the mouth of these areas. And that's where the fish were set up. They weren't necessarily schooled up, but they were just more grouped up in an area. And we got to this spot. It was a big, long point, and it was just the most perfect spot ever, probably a quarter of a mile or less from the main river channel from 100 feet of water. And this point ran all the way out into the middle of one of the biggest spawning areas on the lake. And they were just set up there, and the wind was blowing on it just right. And then all of a sudden it kind of slicked off a little bit. The sun came out. It got really warm. You know, it had been below freezing for a week straight, and all of a sudden it got 65, 70 degrees in the evening. And the water temp came up 1 or 2 degrees, and we started throwing that A-rig. The lake had been super, super low, I think 8 to 10 years ago. And so there's a bunch of bushes that grow up in about 20 to 30 feet of water, and they come about 5 feet off the bottom. And right around the edge of those, we found a bunch of these giant fish were just suspending. They were kind of sluggish, moving slow. And I think as the sun came up and the water got a little warmer, they slid up just a little bit on top of some of that brush. But, I mean, we were catching 5-6 pounders just sticking around. And I was like, Joe, we should put on a double Alabama rig just for some cool content. I've never done it before. So we put the chandelier rig on. I think we later on renamed it Cinderella rig, is what Cole wanted to call it. And so we throw that on there, and my first cast, it's like doo, 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 the whole way, and I got smashed. It's like, oh my God, something actually bit this thing. And I've seen people throw it before. Next cast I throw out there, and I bow up, and it's a giant. And it was funny because I was like, Joe, do you want to throw this, or should we put it on my rod? And that took forever to rig it. And so I tied it up on his rod, And I was like, dude, you gotta let me throw it a couple times. I took all this time to tie it on. Just let me throw it. So second throw, I bow up, and it was a 12-pounder. It was right at 12 pounds. And I couldn't believe it. My biggest bass, I'd had like 5 that were between like 8 and 8 3/4. Unfortunately, up here in the north, that's about the best you can do.
Those are giant.
Yeah. So it completely shattered my personal best. And then he's like, all right, give me that. And I think he caught a high 9 on it. And then a little bit later, I was back throwing my single rig, and I caught another 12 off the edge on the same spot. And so I was losing my mind, catching 2. They were almost identical. They were like 12 and 12-1 on my scale. And then I caught an 8.5 on a single swim bait after that. And we were getting sick. I was super exhausted that we'd been up all night, all day, out in the wind, in the sun, in the cold weather. And my neck was hurting, my back was hurting. So I was like, dudes, I haven't had water or anything all day. So I'm like, I'm sitting down, I'm taking a break. You guys can keep fishing. And I told Joe, I was like, dude, we should get out of here. We're driving to Choke Canyon tonight. It's like 5:30. I was like, we got a 4.5 hour drive left. We've been on the water all day for 2 days straight on almost no sleep. We got to get going. And Joe's like, no, we're not leaving until I say we're leaving. I think he was kind of joking, but I was like, all right, whatever, dude. I'm just going to chill in the bottom of the boat. And I don't ever take breaks fishing, which is kind of funny. So I took my camera off. My chest came off. I'm like, I caught 2 12s. I'm basically going to take my chest cam off so I can take some pictures of these fish. I don't look like a goober in the picture. So I took my chest cam off. And Joe comes back and he puts the chest camera on, the chesty mount on. And he's never worn a chest cam in his life before. He was just being a dickhead, thought he was being funny. And he's like, oh, I'm Ben Milliken. I got a YouTube channel. and he gets up on the front of the boat. And at that point, I had been like not filming. Like I'm running the trolling motor Panoptics and I'm trying to get Cole a big fish. So Cole caught a couple 5-pounders, I think. And then I went and sat down. I'm drinking a water and Joe bows up and I'm like, he's like, oh, it's a big one. And you definitely could tell when you had one of those 8+ pounders on, when you hit them and then they pull drag back, you knew it was a real one. And so he had caught a couple. I didn't get up or anything, but once he bowed up with that one, I saw it pulling back. I got up, grabbed the net, and he fought it to the boat. And we didn't see the fish one time until it was right there. And I scooped it up and got it in the boat, and we lost our minds collectively. I was already shaken up from catching the 2 12s. Like my legs were like shaking and my arms were I don't know. I couldn't move hardly. And I was freaking out. And then Joe brought that in the boat and I started dry heaving immediately because I was so like, my brain was like about to explode. I'd never seen anything like this fish. And so we get it out and I'm like, dude, that's a share lunker. That's a 13-pounder. And Cole's like, that's a 14. And Joe's like, no, that's a 15-pounder. I was like, all right, man, whatever. Let's put on the scale. And we put on the scale and it pulls 15 to 8 and 15 pounds, 8 ounces. And just, we all lost our minds and we're like, what do we do? What do we do? And we'd already taken pictures and thrown my fish back and everything, the 2 12s. And so we're just like, we got to get it certified, right? So we finally go to the bank, try to get the share linker thing certified and everything, and ended up getting it certified that night. Texas Game and Parks has the fish now. And that's the story. They kind of
met you guys on the side of the road, right? Like
in
the middle of the night, basically.
They did. Yeah, it was like 1:30 or 1 before we got it given to them.
Dude.
Because we had terrible reception and all the marinas were closed by the time we caught it. That's the difference between our fish and all the guys catching them now. They're catching them during the day. We weren't that lucky. It was after everyone was closed. And so we didn't have a landline to call from, which is what you can use at the marina for the Game and Parks to come. And the reception was spotty. And so for some reason our reception wasn't going through at the ramp. And I was like, oh my God. We actually tried to release the fish twice and it kicked off hard and then it floated up to the surface and we're like, oh no. And so we went out twice in the boat and got it and boxed her again. And finally we're able to get a hold of someone that got us in touch with the fishing game. And we were able to, they took her, they fizzed her, got her, I think they give it like a salt bath and stuff to recuperate her. And she's kicking alive, doing great now. So it was incredible. I'm excited to show it on and kind of relive that through video.
Oh my gosh.
Tuesday.
And the first video, like you're talking about Cole and his edits, the first video, like the teaser, that you sent us the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best videos. You guys put out a lot of great stuff, but like that with the news clips in there about the record, cold front, all
cool.
the B-roll stuff is really, really cool. And I think, in my opinion, man, I hope that they blow everything out of the water that's on YouTube, because this is Mr. Greatest, in my opinion, it's the greatest week in bass fishing history for big bass. I mean, what followed this, you guys were the only boat on the water, correct?
Correct. Yep.
The only boat.
For 2 days, we're the only boat.
Fast forward a week later.
Yep.
This weekend.
You can't park anywhere. Yeah.
You can't get there. And this lake is in the middle of nowhere. How much hate have you received from this? Because I've received some, because, later, fast forward a few days, we go to Choke Canyon, then us, Casey Sobzak, Baxter the Bait Man, Brett Cannon, Captain Ron, we all load up and go back, and Justin Roll. And, dude, it's just a beatdown. It's a beatdown. Thanks to you. You're like, hey, dudes, this is the deal. And you looked at me and you said, if you're good with live scope, it's game on. And I told Darren, I was like, we're fixing to smash on some freaking biggins. And we did. But Darren and I I threw it the biggest bass I've ever seen on live scope by a mile several times. And I couldn't get them to eat. Our biggest was a 710 largemouth, but fortunately in the same boat, on the same area as
crazy.
I break the lake record smallmouth, a thing that you did 2 days before. Darian and I can't wait for y'all to see the video. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before I post it. Darian and I are going crazy, and I hooked this fish, and I think it's a giant largemouth. There were like 20 of them after my rig, and they followed. I dropped it like that. I was just trying to do something to trigger a bite, so I dropped it. They all followed. Darian's sitting right next to me, and I'm like hopping it, and it goes, boom, and they load up. So I catch this fish. Well, she immediately starts digging harder than even the 6s and 7s we had caught. I told him, I said, dude, like, because our whole video is like, this is a PB moment kind of thing. And I said, dude, this is it. And I was going crazy. You'll see the video, but I'm like, dude, this is it. This is like a 10 plus. This is my fish of a lifetime right here, because it was fighting so damn hard.
Yep.
And then it flashed, and looked like it was this big around, which it was, in the water. And I'm like, well, it's not as big as I thought. But so Darian grabs it. We put it in the boat, we're high-fiving, we're geeked up. And then all of a sudden I said, dude, did you say it or did I say? I can't remember.
No, well, the crazy thing is, I just remember we were so hyped how big it was and didn't even realize that it was a smallmouth at first. We were just pumped that we caught this fat one.
Yeah,
and then Luke's like, dude, that's a smallmouth. And
I said, it's a smallmouth.
And then our reaction is just like.
Because I thought it was like a 7-pounder. But at this time, and I'm telling this all for a reason, low-lifers, is we take pictures, we do the thing, we weigh it, and in my boat, it weighs a little over 6. And I'm like, well, dude, on certified scales, because I said, Milliken, when they caught the 16, it weighed 15 on his scale. I was like, dude, this is like a freaking 7-pounder, because I've caught 6s, and the shape of this fish, I told Darren, I was like, dude, it's a 7-pounder. Like, this is a 7 or close to it. So we box it, and Darian, we're idling over. I was like, and I was shaking. I said, dude, try to catch another one. There's a bunch of them. And then he's like, hey, we need to go weigh this thing. We need to certify it. I'm like, okay. So I'm like trying to gather myself. As we're going to the ramp, Darian goes, dude, this is the same fish Ben caught. And I said, what? And he goes, bro, this is the same bass. And I said, oh, come on, dude. No way. I'm like, how do you know? And I remember the spot on yours, beautiful fish. And he goes, look, dude. And so we literally stopped the boat. And I get the sucker out of the live well, and I'm like, dude, you're not joking. This is the same damn bass. And I'm thinking, and we get her over there, and she weighs 2 ounces freaking more on their scales this time. Like,
so crazy.
What are the odds of her biting? You don't think catch and release works, people?
Exactly.
Like, this fish bit again, and this is a very public lake, 20,000 acres, and we were in the same area, and Ben hooked us up, showed us the deal. But the same bass? Are you
crazy? Crazy.
And I won't share the text that I got from Ben about that, because he was like, lake record holder Ben Milliken, which I would like to add on this podcast. It potentially has been broken again by another brother of ours, Mr. Zach from 6 Cents, who
by a lot.
And they didn't get it certified, but I think they've talked to Texas Parks and Wildlife since then, and I think it will be certified. But it was a pound bigger, 7-something, beautiful fish, and they didn't certify it. So I don't know. I'm rambling, but I don't even know what to say, man. This week we had how many? So we got Josh Jones, who's not part of the sixth crew. He's a buddy of yours and a big bass guru. Dude drops the hammer. He came down. How many did he catch over 10 this past week?
Maybe 15 or 10. Did you see his today?
Yeah. You text me about it. 15, whatever, 15, 4?
Yep.
Certified.
Yep.
Casey and Brett Cannon, Casey's Hobzack, the owner, 6 cents. Casey catches a 14.3 or 14.2.
Doesn't matter.
What it was,
I don't
doesn't
even
matter.
know.
14, 1 and a 4 before, it doesn't matter. And Brett Cannon catches a 14.4 on the same spot. This is after Darian and I are already back in Tennessee and Alabama. We had to get back and we start getting these damn texts. And I'm going, are you kidding me right now? Ben left 2 days before I caught the smallmouth that broke his record. But now we heard of a 13, Darian, like that last day. Somebody else talked about a 13 that got caught. So in this week of bass fishing, there's never been anything like this, and it'll never happen again, right? Do you think that this could ever happen again? The timing of this?
Yeah, everything can happen again, but
okay,
I don't know. It's tough to say that. I don't know. Everything kind of lined up perfect, and there's that many coming out of it. Yes, I do think we will go catch some 12s, 13s, 14s in the South or in the West or in Florida somewhere at some point. Especially now with some of the technology we have, I think they don't have a chance.
That's where I'm headed. I'm headed with it. But
man, us catching a 16 and a couple 14s with hundreds of boats out on the lake that have now, or maybe thousands. I don't even know how many are out there now. That's special stuff for sure.
When we put the boat in the water, and this is all on video, but when we put the boat in the water that second day, Darian and I, it had such a weird feel to it. And I've read books. What's the Obsessive Quest for the Largemouth Bass? It was a book that came out a few years ago, and you hear these stories from Castaic back in the day, and like the people lined up at the ramps and all these trophy hunters, right? And it felt like, I was like, dude, we're part of one of these movements, like one of these moments. We're just fortunate enough to be here. You kicked it off, and I'm like, dude, our life could change today. Like everything fishing wise for us could change today. And for me, that was really cool to catch that lake record smallmouth, but my largemouth dreams did not get fulfilled. And it's weird to catch a record smallmouth and be pissed off. And I was very pissed off. And Darian will tell you, we're cracking them on this spot next to Casey. He caught a couple of 8-pounders, and we're just like 4-pounder, 4-pounder, 5-pounder, 6-pounder, 4-pounder, 5-pounder, 6-pounder, 7, 10. Okay, 4-pounder, 4-pounder, 4. And I'm like, where are the 10s at? I'm mad because it's that good, dude. I put more bass over 4 pounds in my Express on this trip than I'll catch the rest of the year. And I was pissed off.
Maybe.
But my question is, do you think those fish had ever been fished for like you fished for them?
No, not a chance. I mean,
they were way too eager to bite, dude.
I mean, you go back and look at it. There's sharelunkers caught there like once a year, like one fish a year, or maybe twice, or maybe it skips a year and then another year they catch one. But you look back at the records. I mean, nothing like this has happened before. And I mean, how many? What are they, like 7, 8, 9 sharelunkers in a week? I don't even know. And oh man, it's tough to say that it'll ever happen again, like that anyway. But yeah, I do think, you line up some clean water in the winter on some of these shad lakes with a lake that's maybe a little bit untouched with some of the newer technology, then yeah, I do think there's potential to catch a handful of 13 pluses in a week.
Yeah. I think they're all going to have tumors from being scanned with live scope so much. That's what I think is going to happen. They may grow bigger now.
Maybe they will.
Darian and I, and I wanted to ask you if you had an encounter like this. So Darian will tell you, we're leaving. We had to get back. We had to leave at lunch. So we catch that fish. And I'm like, dude, do you want to go try some other spots? And he's like, dude, if we do, man, we're going to be pushing it. We got to get back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, let's just call it. Pull me away from this place. Like, it was hard to do. So we stop at the Elm Creek RV campground gas station, official way station. I was like, hey, let's go spend some money with these folks. These folks were awesome. Let's buy some lunch, buy some tackle, whatever. So we go in there, we buy a couple baits, get a BLT, get a burger. Well, this dude pulls up. And this was my first nothing crossed my mind that this would even be the case. I'm a naive dude when it comes to human behavior sometimes, even though I dwell on the internet and I know the worst of human beings, and YouTube comments at times and Instagram comments. But we ran into this dude. He had a very nice Camus boat. He pulled up and it was beautiful. And Darian's like, damn, look at that. That boat's nice. So we're talking to this guy trying to talk to him, completely just blows us off. The first time we try to talk to him, he's like super big leaguing us. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so he walks up behind us in line and he goes, got news for y'all. Y'all ain't doing anything special we don't know about out here. Something along those lines. And I said, you guys catch a lot of 16-pounders? Because I just immediately kind of threw it at him. And he's like, I caught 12 over 10 on one spot in one day last year. And he's telling me about all the share lunkers he caught, but we don't turn them in. We don't call it. I was like, sure you don't,
right.
Mr. Biggest bragger I've ever met. You don't turn in your share lunkers for your picture, sure. But this guy made it very clear he did not want us there. He hoped that we never came back and hopefully that we lost our boat on the way home. Like, this dude was not cool. And then I experienced that with my little smallmouth online a million times. And I've been told, don't come back. Why do you got to share this on social media? So how much of that have you experienced?
Quite a bit. And I think, that's a problem with the social media age of bass fishing for a couple of reasons. One, everyone acts like you didn't do anything special. No one wants to talk about it. Everyone else's catch is too big. No one can just appreciate a catch. And the problem is a lot of the locals got super mad, first off, that all these boats were going to come and blow out their lake. And yeah, that does suck to an extent. I'd be mad if my home lake that I had kept secret for so long got out there. And I kept it on wraps the best I could. I never said the name of the lake one time in any video. I never did it one time in any post. If Joe's certification didn't get out there, the guy from Elm Creek Marina that took the picture of Joe's
before
fish,
you guys, before you guys got
the exactly. He shared it, said where it was at. Then the Share Lunker program, of course, said where it was at. And what do you do? I mean, I can't control that. I still haven't said anything about the lake, but the locals got to understand, we're not going to have 20 people come there, and there's not going to be 100 people, 1,000 people come there. It's going to be like several thousand people, and it's already helping the businesses in the area so much. I mean, the lake almost got wiped off the map and emptied 5 to 10 years ago, and all of those places were pretty much out of business, and this is going to help their community so much more. And the second thing that sucks about it, this online fishing thing, is instead of people trying to learn about how those fish were caught or trying to duplicate it on their waters, it does kind of suck on the other side of it that people can't go try to catch them themselves. Instead, they're like, we got to go to that lake right now. I don't care if it's 20 hours away. We're making the trip this weekend. It's like, yeah, that's a special lake with special genetics. But honestly, there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 other lakes in Texas. You could literally do the same thing, except not with 1,500 boats in the lake next to you.
Absolutely.
And so I always try to preach that, people got to get out and find their own stuff on their own. If someone would have told me to go do that at that lake previously, I wouldn't have felt as good about myself, I guess, going out and kind of figuring it out. And maybe I would have tried something different. It's all about learning yourself and getting out there and applying what you know. I don't know. I get more satisfaction out of that, but not everyone's like that.
Dude, talking about finding on your own, Darian and I are sitting on a place with Casey, and dude, boats just kept on that day just pulling up, and it was local guys. And I would say a little hot-headed sometimes, okay? But it was guys that very clearly you knew they didn't fish that way, that they didn't know the area we were in, and they were just driving by, and Darian and I are catching them every cast, and Casey and Kevin Baxter catching them every cast, so they pull in. And I literally asked one of the guys, I was like, hey, dude, you fish this place a lot? And he says, not a lot, but I'm from here. I mean, like, that's his answer.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, well, you're here because we're like back up. So I called him a pirate and various other things that are probably on video. And Casey was saying too, hey, dude, we're filming, like we're here for 5 days and then we're out. Like you can have it forever. Like we're here and it's almost like you're welcome. Because
no kidding.
Because we opened this up, and I say I was just a part of it. You kicked it all off. I was wondering about the hate thing though, because you don't shy away from just running through a dude's face. You're just like, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Texan.
A little bit. Yeah,
dude, you let them have it. Like,
man, I said some things online that I know to some people might come off as like I'm cocky or I'm full of myself or something like that. But I just said straight up, I'm sorry to all the locals, but I'm going to put on video exactly how I fish for these fish, and you're going to be able to go out and apply that and literally catch double digits and share lunkers if you go put the time in and figure it out and use some of what we applied in our videos to go out there. So please don't come to me and act like I'm an asshole for blowing the fishery out or something like that. What am I supposed to do? Not go to a lake and try a new lake that I heard from people a year ago that it was decent?
Yeah.
I'm not going to not do that. Like,
I had multiple people when I talked on here about this 6 Cents trip to Texas go, screw Choke Canyon, go there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I looked up where it was at and was like, all right. But I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that it was this, that it's this mecca that it turned into. But what I would like to say, and Darian, I want you to echo me on this, to any people that are like, you're blowing up our lake. I live on the Tennessee River. Screw you. I don't care what you think. There were 350 boats on Pickwick yesterday. And guess what? There were 20 bags over 20 pounds weighed in, and it took 27 pounds to win. And it's like that about every weekend. So, come to Guntersville on a Tuesday, bud. There's not a freaking spot at the ramp. So
exactly.
If a fishery is good enough, it can take it. It will come down to, are you a good enough fisherman to catch them? That's what it's going to, those fish aren't going anywhere. Other than the share lunkers, that fishery is going to get better. And now I would say the state of Texas will put that much more emphasis on that body of water because it has something special that a lot of other lakes have. Look at Lake Fork, though, dude, where Captain Ron guides all the time. Pounded into dirt. There's not a lake that gets pounded more, and it still kicks out double digits all the time. So, man, I just say to people, like, I get it. It's in the middle of nowhere. The motel we stayed at, we should have been murdered, like, for sure. There's not a lot of things out there. We stayed at a different place than you did. But nice people. They were great. But
we stayed at that one too. Yeah.
Very much had a horror movie vibe at about midnight. When you're sitting out there drinking beer, it's like, did y'all hear that? I mean, it was very much, you can't get to this place from my house, bro. Like there's not a Holiday Inn Express. there's not a Buc-ee's gas station. Like it's in the middle of nowhere. So I feel it's getting a lot of heat, but it is somewhat protected. And it will be protected because a lot of people aren't going to go. Now, if it was in that Dallas Metroplex, there was a 14 Conroe in that big tournament.
Yep.
I mean, Texas has so many great fisheries. Something else that's been bugging me. I wanted to see if you had seen this, and I know Darian's seen this, is the share lunker hate from people.
Yep.
What is the deal? Because, dude, to me, hats off to Texas Parks and Wildlife. I have no affiliation, just like none of us do. But I live in a state where the state doesn't seem to give a damn if our fishery, other than Lake Chickamauga, which they've really done a lot to. They don't do a lot of restocking. It just doesn't happen. Alabama, damn sure that way. We've seen Wheeler Lake come and go 5 times in my lifetime, but you see what Texas does, dude, and it is out of this freaking world, and the proof's in the damn numbers.
Yes.
What they kick out there.
It's incredible. Yeah. And being down there and talking to people, you hear so much bullshit from people that they just don't know. They don't get it. I heard from people, there's a 80%, 90% mortality rate once they put the share lunkers in there. And I'm like, they literally saved the fit. We would have killed our 16 if we didn't have them help recuperate it. We watched it get recuperated by a biologist right there in front of us. And, they say that they put them back in that body of water after they try to breed it once. They don't keep those fish forever. They are just like baby that fish so much and take care of it. But yeah, Nebraska and really some of the surrounding states up here, nowhere near that, not even close. And Texas isn't spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars on this. They're spending millions every year. The fact that you could catch a 13 plus in any body of water in the state, and they will literally show up within a couple hours and take that fish from you and go breed it with a professional biologist. They showed up at midnight on a Friday night and came and met with us and stayed with the fish. They were going to stay with the fish. The biologist was going to be there with it for like 4 more hours before he even left. The fact that they'll do that and then breed it and then stock all those fry from those fish is just crazy.
And they stock those back in Ivy, or do they stock those sporadically throughout the state?
So they'll stock them in Ivy and everywhere else, they told us. And then that fish ends up back in the lake too. So
that's amazing.
But people like, of course, they're taking our 13 plus pounders.
I read all that.
Yeah, they're going to kill them. Why did you do that? And it's like,
I know a boy, they took his to Whataburger and they turned it into a damn fillet of fish sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah, I read all those comments.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Dude, I think we've got to say, congrats to all you big bass catchers. I called it a smallmouth and Darian called Texas Parks and Wildlife by my Lake Cricket smallmouth, and they were like, new phone, who dis? He called the Cheryl line, and we're like, hey man, we've got the Lake Cricket smallmouth, dude. It's a smallmouth bass. We've got it. And they're like, hey, did you guys hear about that 16? They gave zero shits.
Are you sure? I don't think we have smallmouth in our state.
Yeah, they were like, you're cheating. You brought that from, where'd you say you're from? You brought that from Tennessee. We know there aren't smallmouth in that lake for sure. So I'm very jealous. I'm very happy for everybody, but I'm very jealous of all the giants over 10 that got caught. And me and stupid Darian couldn't get any of those big blobs on my live scope to bite. They would just follow my divine swimmer around and go, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
It was insane. But I think we got to say thank you to Sixth Sense, too, for kind of roping us all together.
For sure.
To say the least. I think it was awesome. And you guys make sure you're subscribed to Darian Is Fishing's YouTube channel and Ben Milliken Fishing, because these videos, how many more Texas videos do you have? So you said you got 8 total?
Yeah, we got 6 more coming. The big one, though, the 60-pound limit's going to drop tomorrow night, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to be premiering, so we're excited for that one.
So you're going to be in the comments.
I'm going to be in the comments, yeah. So bring your hate. Bring all your comments.
I'm getting on there to hate on you.
Okay.
I'm
getting on there.
I saw him.
Yeah.
He was live baiting. We're dropping show up, shut up at the exact same time, which could be just probably an epic fail. I feel like for us.
We probably should move it back.
Let's move it to Thursday. Thursday sounds a lot better to me now, Darian. But I'm getting in there, and I'm going to put on all caps, and I'm going to be like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks. He cheats.
Big old snag and hook out there.
Yeah, that ain't no divine swimmer. You ain't nothing divine about you, Ben Milliken.
One thing that was such a small part of the trip, but it cracked me up. We're driving, I think it was the day we were driving out there, and Captain Ron, texts in the group, did y'all catch a 16-pounder today? Ben and them had texted us earlier in the day and went silent for a while. Ronnie says, did y'all catch a 16-plus? Ben says, what? All caps. How'd you hear? All caps. Who told you? All caps. And Ronnie sends a picture of it on Facebook. So then I go over to Facebook, and by the time I had already clicked on it, it was instantly viral. Everything, like as soon as I clicked on it, was viral. But it was funny because y'all didn't realize that it had went viral.
No. And it was funny because the pictures were just terrible from the marina guys. So everyone's like, I've caught 7-pounders that look bigger than that. I'm like, you probably have. That was a bad picture, but I think once we were able to post some better pictures, that was crazy. We got so lucky. We pulled up to that one marina, and it was closed, but there was this guy. It was the owner sitting in the parking lot,
dude with the goatee.
Yeah, on his phone in his truck, and we're just like, it's closed. We're not going to be able to get in. And he rolls his window, and I was like, can I help you guys? We're like, yeah. Any chance that you can like weigh a fish for us? We heard there's a scale. He's like, oh yeah, I work here. We're like, what deal? And we're getting the measurements on it, and we're putting the tape around it and everything and getting it on its scale. He's like, do you care if I just like take a couple pictures? And he's just over here just like snip, snip, snip. And that's it. we're in the middle of like trying to baby this fish and take measurements, and we didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden, everyone knows about our fish before we even have reception to tell anyone about it. It was funny.
He's trying to sell them cheeseburgers and them Whopper Ploppers he got in there on the wall. I know what he's trying to do. I see through that. We rolled up, and a lady that was working there, we came running in there, and I was like, hey, you guys have a certified scale, right? And they said, oh, you're one of those guys. I don't even know what that means, but I was like, you damn right I am. And I was like, I felt pretty cool at that moment. Oh, you're one of those guys. I'm like, no clue what that means, but yes, ma'am, I am.
That guy probably stands there at the ramp now, just holding it, waiting now.
I would. He needs a little tent down there with snacks. I'd be selling ice and stuff down there and tackle and loading people up. Like it's such a crazy place, man. And it was such a wild week that even Zach caught a 7-pounder.
Blew my mind.
Zach. I got to give Father Zach a shout out.
Yeah, caught the 5th biggest smallmouth in the history of Texas.
Holy crap.
Here's where I have a problem with Zach right now. And I told him this yesterday via text. Is it looked more like a smallmouth than mine did? Because that's a lot of my hate. I'm getting this mean mouth, not a smallmouth. I'm an amateur biologist here at my mom's basement. I've got a million comments like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks. Well, Texas said it was a smallmouth. So cool.
For sure.
You know, but Zach's had the markings more of a smallmouth even than mine. Once you pulled it out of the live well, she got heated up.
Oh, yeah.
And so her colors really came out.
Yeah.
Ours. Let's say ours.
Ours, yeah.
Our
fish,
smallmouth,
yeah.
our fish, which is still the most bizarre story to come out of this entire thing, in my opinion. But Zach's was beautiful. And he's like, yeah, man, we were arguing. We didn't think it was a smallmouth. And Darian actually texted in our group and goes, buddy, that's more of a smallmouth than the one Luke caught. Like, it looks like a northern smallmouth.
Yep.
Didn't get it certified, but I'm glad they got the measurements and everything, and hopefully they'll certify it. Hopefully it's after my video comes out. That way I can click back
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Your video go before mine, and then I'm going to have my lake record because we talked about yours on mine, but I'm going to wait a couple weeks.
Dude, crazy. It was crazy.
So insane, dude.
Especially you think like a trophy fish like that would be, you think of them as smarter. They don't eat as many artificial baits, and then you catch it 2 days later. It's pretty wild, man.
Well, I can tell you the scariest part about that fish for me is knowing what size she was once I got her in, and Darian will tell you, standing shoulder to shoulder, there were about 20 with her.
Crazy.
That's what was crazy to me.
Yep.
And they're all like this and just going nuts and really competing for the bait. And she was the one that ended up with it. And there were various size dots in that, but there were so damn many. And I'm going, were they all smallmouth?
Mm-hmm.
Were there, you know what I mean? Because that was the only ground one we caught. Did you catch very many?
I caught 2, that one and one other. And the other one was 6-pounder too. So yeah, they're in there. And it's crazy. You would, you always think like, the biggest bass are going to be the individual loners that you see out by themselves. But then I would throw my rig to a school of 8 to 10 fish and I'd catch an 8-pounder out of it. And you're just like, were they all that size? Like, what is happening? Is there a bigger one?
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
One of the 7s that I caught was in the middle of several fish and they all looked about this. And you're just like, are there 50 of those down there?
Exactly.
One quick thing I want to ask you. And dude, I appreciate you so much, and Darian for coming on. Did you encounter the last day we were there? And this is something I probably shouldn't even talk about publicly, and I don't know why I shouldn't talk about it. But we felt the fish were chasing the boat at the end of the day. At the end of, and there was a lot of pressure, but those fish were coming to us.
Yep.
And I'm talking about fish you'd see 50 feet out. And before you could cast on them, they'd be. And I know in clear water, like smallmouth lakes.
Yeah, you're trying to burn that rig to catch up to them to see. They're like, I can't get it in front of them.
Absolutely. And and we started noticing when we caught several vertically under us on different things. But were you seeing that a lot earlier in the week, or do you think that was a pressure thing?
I don't know if it's a pressure thing. I think they got more active and started just like acting like fools down there. They never seen or heard anything like it with boats fishing out deep, or maybe that pinging noise. I don't know.
Or the shade of the boat, right?
Yeah,
clear water.
Maybe they would literally they'd follow your bait to the boat and they would chill under your boat on the bottom for a long time. Yeah.
Did you catch any vertically very often like that?
Yeah. I mean, it got to several points while we were there where we would have 5 or 6 fish follow our rig back every single cast, and so you're just ripping it off the bottom or trying to change direction with your bait. And we caught a bunch jigging the A rig vertically like that.
I caught some on a Ned rig like a goofball.
I'm not surprised.
but no big ones. I was just trying like a Demiki style.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have anything like that. So I'm like, Darian, and drop it down. Oh, got one. But I never, obviously no big ones.
Trying to get your Jeff Gustafson on, I hear you.
Yeah, my Gussie. Shout out to the snow leopard. Yeah.
He
knocked it out today. Yeah. I was trying to, I was bored catching them on the A rig, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty boring lake. It was all right.
Yeah, it's okay. Guys, if you're watching this, don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't plan your spring break there. Don't go. Go to Mountain Woods Lake where Darian lives. Go there. It's a lot better. Go there. Well, Ben, I'm going to put you on the spot before I'll let you go. And I'm going to say that Darian and I are planning something epic, another 6 Cents event. And we just need you to say yes right now on this without even knowing what it is. So we have
I'm in. Is there fishing?
Yes.
Is there going to be fishing? All right, I'm in.
Some fishing.
Yeah.
Some cardio.
Oh, God.
Maybe some bike riding. We don't know. It's like the 6 Cents Olympics. We're going to let Captain Ron get drunk and see if he can run through barrels.
That's not a bad idea at all. That'd be great entertainment.
Captain, you're going on Captain Ron. Give Captain Ron a shout out. He said you're going on his Facebook Live this week.
Yep. I don't know what, I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, he texted me about it too. I'm going to do Captain Ron live. He's the most sophisticated man I've ever met. The only reason I call him that is he told me the other night that he was the most sophisticated man.
Yeah. He's one of a kind. man of many talents and a man of very few talents at the same time.
That's me. You just described me and Darian all at the same time. All right. Y'all go follow Ben Milliken. Make sure you're sub to his YouTube channel. I feel like if you're here, you already are because he has like half the world subscribed to him. But go check out all Ben's videos and do not miss the video tomorrow night. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Take it easy, guys.
Up next, I've got the Startron crew. You're not going to want to miss it. This has been an action-packed freaking LBL, but I've got a NASCAR driver, a saltwater guru, and the owner of Startron, Starbright himself coming up right now. Well, as promised, we are zooming with the Startron crew. I got Josh Williams, my man, who just raced last night at Homestead, and today he's out catching all kind of fish. We're going to have Blair Wiggins on, but right now the most important member of the Startron team that is on the screen is Yogi, who basically runs the entire plant right now.
Do you love Low Budget Live?
Yeah. Thank you, Yogi. Thank you.
Oh, did we catch any fish today?
Did Gregor put everybody in the game yesterday and catch all the fish on the boat? Yeah.
Yes. Now we got Blair on. Captain Blair Wiggins, Addictive Fishing, and we got Josh Williams. So these are my Startron brethren. These guys have been with Startron for a long time, and we've been trying to do this. Danny and I have been talking about this, and he goes, hey, we're all going to be in the same place in the Key. It's your 100th episode of Low Budget Live. Let's get these guys on. So welcome, first of all, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. There's your star of the show right there, Startron. He was the one that was driving around 180 miles an hour around yesterday in a circle trying to get to that finish line, man. That has to be a lot more exciting than waiting for a redfish to bite, I tell you.
I don't know, man. That redfish is pretty good, but I can imagine that it's pretty intense, dude, doing what you do, Josh. I mean, that's what I want to ask you. I know it's a very cliche or simple question, but how do you get into, hey, you know what I think I want to do? Just risk my life. Just every weekend. I just want to go 200 miles an hour in a Startron car. How does that come about, man?
Man, I started racing when I was 4 years old. So it's like, I mean, it's just second nature to me. You know what I mean? That's all I've ever done. I've never really had a real job before. I've just raced my whole life. So it's a blast, man. You know, the adrenaline rush is probably the coolest part about it. It's, you know, everybody's out there trying to do the same thing you are and then go as fast as you can. And we're all a couple inches apart, and I don't know, we're all wearing helmets and strapped in, so we're fearless.
It's all fingers crossed and just hoping to get back around. So you're in the Xfinity Series this year, and I saw you're 20th in the points and just out there grinding, man. You were 26 last night. You didn't get the win for Startron. Did Greg give you any crap over that? That's what I need to know. Like the Florida race, did Greg give you hell over not winning? Because he gives me hell over not winning bass tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
And not catching enough fish.
He's like, listen, if you're not going to win, at least get on TV. So we did that a couple times last night. So
okay, that's good.
It happened. At least I fulfilled half of my commitments.
Now, Blair, did you get to go to the race last night?
No, we were sitting here in the pool after we got done bouncing around the ocean. We were filming a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
Just doing some stuff out offshore here, and good God, it was rough as hell. It was like 5 to 8 foot and about 3 seconds, and it was pretty nasty. And Gregor's the one that caught all the fish. So he caught 3 nice sized Almaco jacks and a Spanish mackerel. At least that was in the cooler, so I cleaned that too today.
Tuna dip or a mackerel dip, fish dip. I like it.
Oh, I got a dish. I'm gonna cook it up, and it should be pretty good.
So Josh, you got invited on this. They're like, hey, go race, and then we're gonna treat you and to this amazing trip, stone crabs, fishing with freaking the man, Blair, who's like has one of the greatest fishing shows ever, in my opinion. Most innovative show, exciting show, addictive fishing. You're welcome, dude. But you step out of the car and just right to the keys. Like, dude, life's not that bad right now for you, Josh. I feel like.
Oh yeah, we got no complaints for sure. It was a blast, man. It was a little rough out there today, and we was fighting the weather a little bit, but still have fun, man. Bad day on the water is better than a good day at work.
Now, how often do you fish, Josh? Is that a passion of yours when you're not in the car? Because I know that racing takes a lot of your time, obviously, a lot of the year. But is that something that you're passionate about? Do you hunt also, or just fish?
Yeah, I hunt and fish. I grew up in South Florida, Port Charlotte on the West Coast. So, I mean, I was always fishing. So I moved to North Carolina. It slowed down quite a bit. I'm kind of like Blair. I'm more of a saltwater flats guy. Catch me some bass from time to time, but don't have much time, so it's a little rough. I got all this equipment and I don't get to use it often. I get to stare at it a lot though.
Yeah, collecting dust a little bit. I get that. It would be real hard to catch a redfish on Lake Norman up there where you're at, I imagine, if you're right there in the heart of all that racing stuff.
Oh, yeah. If I did find one, though, I'd probably be the only one.
You'd be the only one. Now, there's some bass fishermen up there. That's kind of the tournament capital of North Carolina, in my opinion. That Lake Norman area up there is a lot of tournaments that go on down there. So Blair, who's the ringer out of the Startron crew? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Who's the ringer?
Greg, Danny. I need to know who's the one. You said Gregor on this trip, but you fished with all of them a bunch. I want to put you on the spot because I know he's right over your shoulder.
It's got to be Bubby.
Bubby, okay.
Babs for short.
Okay, good. As long as you didn't say Greg, we're good.
Well, Bubby's the one that lives here. He knows all the spots.
Oh yeah, I met Bubby at the Startron Christmas shindig up there in Montgomery this year when we were up there playing music and hanging out. So and he cooked a pig in the ground and it was amazing.
Oh, he can cook some food. That's for damn sure. He cooked breakfast yesterday that stayed with me all day long. I mean, it was good. I just got heartburn issues, and it was good. That just shows how good it was.
So Blair, you're kind of, we've got on this show a big tournament fishing audience, obviously, because I cover a lot of the pro bass stuff, and that's my history. But you stepped over into the FLW world on the redfish side, and you won their championship back what, 06? $100,000 payday?
Back in 06. It seems like it was yesterday, but holy moly, it was
a long time ago.
It was a while ago.
I remember when that happened, but I was kind of doing some research. I was like, damn, that's been a minute. Now are you still, I know the show is a really big part of your daily, but are you competitive at all in tournaments anymore, redfish tournaments? You still, because I know that stuff like FLW went away and some of the like Oh Boy Alberto went away and they come and go.
I mean, no, I don't. There's still a few redfish trails out there, but it kind of got where oh God, the redfish trail's coming to town, and they're going to be tearing up our flats, and there got to be some guys out there that just didn't respect the environment out there that much, and one bad apple reflects on the whole crate of apples. So I kind of quit doing it because. I was going to Louisiana, and these kids came up to me when I was filling my boat up, and they said, "Oh, Blair, what are you doing down here? You coming down here to do a show? Blah 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 blah. I hope you do a show over here." I said, "No, this time I'm just here for the redfish tournament." And they were like, "Oh, the redfish tournament, huh?
Oh wow,
okay, bye." Stuff. Yes,
go home. Get out of here.
That was about my last redfish tournament series. That was a few years ago, but they weren't too happy that we were there fishing another tournament series in their water. And, I can see why, because a lot of the guys didn't respect the environment out there, and they didn't fish it right. You put a price tag on a fish's head, and, what happens out there. But
things change.
I think the saltwater world could learn a lot from the freshwater world on, preserving the environment out there.
And vice versa, because I will say, I think that in the saltwater world, for me personally, I think that they go through crazy measures to protect a lot of the species in saltwater. I know a lot of people probably abuse it, but I do think that it's a little more strict sometimes in freshwater. I see some stuff that just blows my mind as far as, people breaking, creel limits and stuff like that. And you're like, come on, man, And even going against, I'm not saying you got to always catch and release a bass, but where I live, I'll see people keeping 5 and 6 pound smallmouth bass, these beautiful, probably 20-year-old fish, and just cutting the sides out of them, and that's frustrating to see. And you don't see that as much, in the saltwater world.
No, not too much.
If something's labeled a trophy, you know what I mean, or a bucket list fish, you don't see as many people keeping those, I feel like.
Oh yeah, a lot of times, too, these days the fiberglass molds they're getting the fish to mount.
Yeah.
That mentality of a skin mount anymore is like, why kill the fish?
Absolutely.
If there's another 8-inch bass that has died, get a replica of that. They can make the belly a little bigger here or there, stretch it a little bit, and make it to the exact size. So that's what I push for these days.
No doubt. I'm getting a replica made actually here soon of that. I caught a lake record smallmouth out in Texas of all places. Smallmouth bass this week broke a lake record. I'm going to have a replica made of it. I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Well, how big was it?
It was 6'8".
You suck.
Yeah, I know. I really do.
That was Dan.
I heard him. He's been texting me this all week. So this lake we went to, that it doesn't have a ton of smallmouth, but I do feel like I sucked because there were so many largemouth over 10 pounds caught out there this week, which is, obviously epic. There were 14s caught, a 15 was caught today, a 16 was caught last week. This lake is incredible. So I went there for that, ended up breaking the lake record smallmouth, and my biggest largemouth was a 7-pound, 10-ounce largemouth, and I was mad. So, which is, you guys have been on fisheries like that where it's like just a freak show and you get your expectations up of what it should be, and maybe your day's not. It's crazy. We're all spoiled as fishermen. We're never satisfied. Probably the same way in the car. No finishes. If it's first, if it's not first, you're mad, I'm sure.
Know exactly what you're talking about. Here I am in the Keys, the easiest place to fish in Florida, and we couldn't get on a Spanish mackerel today because the tide was wrong against the wind, and we could not catch a fish today. But luckily, Gregor caught fish yesterday, so we're going to eat. But
boss man's happy.
You don't go catch fish every day. That's just the stuff you don't see on TV.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that doesn't make the final edit. So, Josh, I want to ask you, so where are you headed next? What's the next race on your schedule coming up?
We go to the West Coast. We head out to Las Vegas. That's our next one. That track's pretty cool, man. And it's Las Vegas. It's a pretty cool atmosphere, and we stay right there in town too. So it's cool. It's different. It's like a different world. You wouldn't think there'd be a racetrack around there. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere once you leave the city, and it's a fun time. It's a fun time. I love that track too. We've had some good runs there.
Well, my thing is you're a young dude, and I think that being like you lay it on anybody. Hey, I'm a NASCAR driver. I mean, I know that you walk into a room and everybody's like, oh, hell yeah, man. You got the mullet going, freaking flowing. Do you ever, like when you're going to Vegas, you're going to put on the jumpsuit, the Startron jumpsuit, and just go hang out at like, I don't know, Caesars or something?
I'm pretty low key.
Okay. Cause I think me and Blair would. I think Blair's a recognizable dude in the fishing industry. I know he would put on the jumpsuit if he was a NASCAR guy. I feel like he would do that.
Oh yeah. I've last time we were in Vegas, I wore my driving suit to In-N-Out Burger. That was pretty impressive.
I love it.
Everybody was all jacked up about that.
That's awesome.
Hey, all I gotta say is last time I was in Vegas, well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
It's still there. As long as it doesn't follow you back home, you're all right.
That's true.
I love it, man. I love it. Blair, what season are we on right now of addictive fishing?
22.
Golly, man. That's so crazy.
Yep, 22nd season. And when I started, all I wanted to do was have a little fishing show to help out my guide business. And, well, it did.
That's awesome.
Like they say, careful what you wish for, man. But it's been a great ride, man. I've loved it. It's been awesome.
Without a doubt, man. And I think that's so funny. I talk to a lot of fishermen on here and a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life. And I think we all live a dream, right? Josh, you live in a dream. You get to, like you said, you've been doing that since you're 4. Blair, you got this dream life. You're a saltwater guru. You got the television show. I get to run my mouth about bass fishing. I get to film bass fishing. I've been able to fish pro tournaments. But it's a lot of work, right? Having this dream life. And I had a guy on earlier in the show, Ben Milliken, who's a big bass fishing YouTuber, caught a 16-pounder last week, had him on right before you guys came on, and he said that. He's like, it would be easier just to have a normal 9 to 5. honestly. But he's like, I wouldn't be happy. And he's talking about how much work he puts in. But I always like talking to people from different walks of life about that, because they just automatically assume they see you, Josh, climbing in the window of that car and they're like, man, that dude's got it made. They see Blair, they hear the drag screaming. They see him on dang TV and they're like, that dude's got it figured out. And he may have it figured out, but it's a lot of work, man.
Oh, it is a lot of work. Definitely. You know that too. And I know Josh does too. And, what they see us do is, that's the fun part of our job. The rest of it is, promoting and trying to, you're throwing yourself out there and trying to make a living. Yes. And that's what everybody doesn't see. And that's really the hardest part of the job. Sure. When I started the show, I was like, yeah, I can go out and catch fish. No problem. Catch fish, run my mouth. That's easy. But marketing and throwing myself out there and selling myself, and I can do this, you can do that. And, it's a lot tougher than what it is. And, people are out there, they like say, oh, you're so lucky you get to go fish every single day. And when I was on the tournament trail, and they're like, well, they don't get to see me out there fishing in the lightning storms and the fog and the rain and the cold weather, the hot weather. Tournament day happens. And unless it's the FLW, and you know what FLW stands for, right?
I do. I know it well because I fished it for 6 years.
Yep. Lousy weather, last two words in that F. You can put any word you want to in there.
We also used to say flood, lightning, and wind too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That's what it stood for. It could be, you could go to any town, wherever, and it would be like coming off the record warming trend in the history of January. Like South Florida, we go to Okeechobee, be like 90 degrees for 3 weeks. We show up 35 degrees, blowing out of the north at 45. Like, where did this crap come from? We brought it to town.
Like you said, it's a lot of work, but you put your love into it like we do, and you got great sponsors like Startron, Starbright.
Right, man.
It's great to have those guys believe in you as well, and we can make a living at what we love to do. We don't work a day of our lives.
That's exactly right, man. That's exactly right. Josh, how did you get hooked up with these crazy people? I kind of know how Blair got hooked up with this crazy bunch. How did you get to drive the dang Startron car? How does that come about, man? I'm interested in that.
It's the lady who does all my marketing, Megan Henriques. Her and Danny were friends and with each other. And Danny's like, hey, we need to work on this deal. And we started talking back and forth, and they were one of my first sponsors ever in the NASCAR side of things. And we've been friends ever since, and they're my kind of people. It's
dang right they are.
It's just, everybody gets along, everybody has a good time. And I mean, Gregor's out here having a good time, hanging out, and you wouldn't even know that he was the big boss man, so it's a fun time.
No doubt, man. That's what I try to explain to people. I shake this Startron bottle at the first of every one of these episodes for all 100 of them. And they sponsor my, there you go. Yeah. Look at that. The triple shake. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Boom.
That's groundbreaking right there. That's groundbreaking. But I try to tell people, I always say that, in my sponsor read, the good folks. And you always say that about people you partner with, but I do think that those guys, it's like you said, down to earth, awesome, hardworking people that believe in what they do, that believe in us, more importantly, right? To partner with us, put their name on what we do, whether it be TV show, NASCAR, podcast, fishing tournaments, whatever. They're just awesome folks, man, building, making great stuff. So it's so cool. That's why I told Danny for the 100th episode, I'm like, man, I want to do something with Startron for sure. And I wanted to have you guys on just because I feel like this is a really good representation of all walks of life. Look at this. I mean, a redneck from freaking Tennessee, the dadgum redfish and saltwater slayer, and the damn guy that goes 200 miles an hour slinging that Startron mullet around.
That's right.
Oh, and Yogi. Let's not forget Yogi.
Oh, don't forget about Yogi. Yeah. Well, Yogi's taking a break.
Where's Greg at? Why haven't we got a good? There he is. Come on, right there, boss man.
We're there shaking our Startron for you. Just
shake it, baby. But hey, why are you catching all of Blair's fish?
Well, there's Yogi.
There's Yogi right there. That's the real boss.
Well, you gotta let the boss catch the fish sometimes.
Okay. That's the key to these long-lasting sponsor relationships.
Figure that one out quick.
Yeah, Josh, in your relationship with Greg, do you let him drive your car?
He's tried to a couple times.
Okay.
He tried to. He almost took it out at Talladega. We were doing the Donovan show.
Yeah.
Racetrack, and he's like, "Where are the keys at?" You don't need to keep. He's like, perfect.
Yeah, I want to be there the day that goes down. Well, guys, listen, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. I'd like to have you both on again at some point. Blair, you and I need to hook up and do some fishing down in Florida. And I'm hoping, and Josh, I'll take you bass fishing on Lake Norman. I've had some good tournaments there. If you put me in the car and let me go fast.
Let's make it happen. I got plenty of it.
All right. You got plenty of cars. I got plenty of rods and reels. We'll make it happen, man. But I thank you guys. Thanks to Startron and everybody for watching. Make sure you're following Blair Wiggins, Addictive Fishing, and Josh Williams on Instagram, Facebook. Josh, do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't. Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, Blair's got all that stuff. If you like what I'm doing at all and you like the saltwater world in the least, you're going to love Blair. If you're just a freshwater guy watching this and you don't already know who Blair is, go check out Blair. And guys, I appreciate it very much.
Appreciate it, Luke, man. Take care, brother.
Thank
you.
y'all.
See you at ICAST this year.
We're going to do it in person this year.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Absolutely. See you, boys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank y'all.
See you, boys.
What about that? Do you feel like you've been hitting the head with a Zoom interview hammer right between the eyes over and over and over and over? That was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little different show, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit for episode number 100 and get, a lot of folks in there. Got Big C and Darian in there. Got Ben Milliken to tell you all those awesome stories and how that all shook out in Texas. And Ben make sure you're subscribed to his channel if you're not. Ben is, he's on his game, man. He's a great, great, great fisherman, and he's doing big things right now. And of course, the Startron crew joining us from down in the Florida Keys. You guys suck. But I want to thank them for joining. Josh Williams, Blair Wiggins, Danny Beard, and my man, Gregor Dornow. Of course, Yogi, the dog. I can't believe I get to do this, guys. I can't believe that. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this, for commenting, for subscribing, for just paying attention to anything I've got going on in the world. Be sure to watch this week. We got Show Up, Shut Up's actually going to drop Tuesday at 6 p.m. Me and Dumb Darian, we threw down at Choke Canyon against each other in the same boat. And we've got 2 of those coming up. And then we've got those OHIV videos coming, and you don't want to miss lake record goodness. But thank y'all so much for tuning in each and every week. I appreciate each and every freaking one of you, whether you love me or not. And I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it 100 times. It's too many. It's too many thank yous. But if I could, I would. I will see y'all next week. Be sure to hug your mama and your daddy. We'll take you out with some Biloxi Blues by yours truly. Thank y'all so much. LD and the MC Wednesday, Show Up, Shut Up Tuesday, and I'll see y'all with some LBL leading up to the National Professional Fishing League debut next week. See y'all.
I never could make it last. Spanish moss, a Civil War ghost. Well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.